Ladies and gentlemen, I am very proud to announce I have Mr. Francesco Pineider. He is from Il Borro Winery in Italy, which is very close to Texas. And I have Mr. Darrell Gibson. He is the Midwest manager for Il Borro. They have been kind enough to give us their time, and they're going to teach us more about Il Borro. And for those of you who haven't had Il Borro, these wines are fantastic and they're affordable. And they also happen to make one of my favorite Chardonnays of all time. So, gentlemen, if you would like to just start with a brief bio, and then we can get into the questions, if you don't mind.
Hello, everybody. My name is Francesco. I'm the brand manager for Il Borro for North and South America. And by chance, I'm here with Darrell. We actually never been together so often, but here's Darrell.
Hi, everybody. I'm Darrell Gibson. I'm the Midwest brand manager for Il Borro. I've been in the wine industry for about 20 years, but oddly enough, I was mostly a retail buyer. About a year and a half ago, I met with Francesco, given the opportunity to work for Il Borro. I said, absolutely.
What are the most important points you like to communicate to customers about Il Borro wines when you're trying to sell them?
Well, it's very important what you say because, today, especially in Italy, especially in Tuscany, I have to say, there's many, many good wines. So, good tipping points are definitely the location of Il Borro. It's a very special location. We all know there's many sub-regions in Tuscany, Montalcino, the Chianti, and we are in a little lesser known location, which is called Valdarno di Sopra. Very, very important, is the only appellation in the world, or in Italy, that requires every grower to be organic. So I don't want to be too long on that because there's a lot to talk about it, but we're basically in a very, very special place.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yes, it's called Valdarno di Sopra. It's a DOC.
Okay.
Which is not new, is actually one of the most ancient or old. It's about 300 years old appellation.
There's generally three that I like to give to everybody I'm working with. One is all of our wines are certified organic. We actually use biodynamic practices in our vineyard, but right now we're certified organic. Two, all of our wines are estate grown, estate vinified, estate bottled. We control the whole process from beginning to end. And why I like to talk about that, or why I think it's important, is it's really your closest guarantee to have a great bottle of wine every year. Of course, we're going to have vintage variants. We let Mother Nature produce the wine. But at the end of the day, when you control the whole process from beginning to end, we can pretty much make a great wine every year. And then number three, it's a fun story to tell about Il Borro. As Francesco was mentioning, it'd be a special place. The estate is literally over 1,000 years old. We have a medieval village on the estate. And when Ferruccio Ferragamo bought the estate back in 1993, it was in disrepair, and so part of the goal is to kind of refurbish the estate. And so for the medieval village, they actually took it down stone by stone, rebuilt it in its original footprint, added water, electricity, things they didn't have 1,000 years ago. Air conditioning, yes. And so today it's actually a 33-room Relais Chateaux hotel that you could stay at. I mean, those would be my top three things.
Wow, they rebuilt the medieval village.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
7 years to do that.
That is beyond impressive. I've rebuilt a Lego set when I was a kid, but the whole medieval village. That's that's a talking point I'm definitely going to use.
Oh yes, and that gets to my most important probably point, which is like Darrell was saying, is to have a story, behind the winery.
Yes.
Many winery makes fantastic wine, but not many has a story behind. A story also with a name, which is already, big in fashion, but they produce quality already in what they do. And so the idea is to do that in a sustainable way, but with the wines. And I think they completely succeed on that. And that's a nice story to tell to the people.
Well, I've never heard a story like that. So, and could you tell everybody what Il Borro means?
Well, Borro has different meanings, but the most important is it's basically a creek. The location of Il Borro today is an ancient lake, and when we're going to talk about the wine, we're going to talk about this because the location is very important. And basically, about 2 million years ago, it was an old lake. Today, there is no water, and this water flowed to the ocean, to the Mediterranean Sea. And today, we're about 3.5 hours actually driving. So it used to be a lake, and there is these special creeks today, and the name Il Borro was given after that. But then we have some names like Alessandro del Borro, which is represented today by our 100% Syrah. It's right on the bottle. It was a warrior that defended the city of Florence from the Turkish, and the Medici family, who was the owner of Florence back then, about 500 years ago, and gave the Il Borro to Alessandro. So it was called Alessandro del Borro. But there is different names or different ideas where the name come from.
Wow, I don't recall hearing a story of a winery like that. That's impressive. So no, I'm being sincere. So that's amazing. Could you just touch on what the differences are between organic in Europe versus organic in the United States?
That's really a good question because our certification is not USDA organic. Our certifying agency is actually an Italian agency, and how that translates, because in Italy, for our wines, they would say it's an organic wine. But how that translates into USDA classification for the United States is made with organic grapes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I found with a lot of European wines, because the USDA, because there's different levels of organic in the US, and USDA certified organic is the highest. But yeah, there's different levels. So so that's generally what I found. European wines, if it's called organic, it means made with organic grapes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also, we are in this special location where we're about 22 growers now, and to be in that location, the Valdarno di Sopra, everybody has to practice organic.
Okay.
So the idea of being organic and then the winery next to you is actually very confusing, because we all know that it's very important, the area and who's around you, to use the same practice. Otherwise, you pollute the field, you pollute the air, and so on.
Same
you
ecosystem.
The water. Right. So ours is really the only one in Italy that requires everybody around you. So we're 22 and we're 22 organic.
Wow. Impressive.
Very, very good selling point.
Darrell, could you please tell us, you since you're here in the U.S., how has the American palate changed, or relate the American palate to Italian wine? What varietals or wines do you see as being the most popular, and what changes have you seen? Like, maybe 5 years ago, Sangiovese was big, but maybe now it's Super Tuscans, or what just tell us your experience with the American palate in regards to Italian wines.
I mean, I've been in the wine industry for over 20 years, and I've seen a lot of change. But the one thing that I find the most big picture thing about the American palate, or maybe wine in general, is it tends to go through not fads, but it's very relatable to fashion, actually, in the sense that stylistically there tends to be preferences that kind of go in style, out of style, and again, if I'm going back to my roots. Back in the 90s, where if you talk about white wine, creamy, buttery, oaky Chardonnays ruled the roost. Today, that's changed to where there's an undercurrent of a preference to unoaked Chardonnays. For reds, Super Tuscans, really that term came to an existence back in the 90s, coined by not James Suckling, but Robert Parker. But there's no legal definition to what Super Tuscan means. So most Americans identify Super Tuscan as a wine made with Bordeaux varietals with or without Sangiovese. But truly, it has no legal definition.
Yeah, as I understand it, the story when they first started making Super Tuscans was a winemaker in Tuscany wanted just something different, so he started experimenting with different varietals, and then that's also why the Super Tuscans, they can never be DOCG, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The okay, well, that was going to be a question that I had, which you already answered, is the Il Borro Toscana, because it's Syrah, Merlot, and Cab. And I was going to ask if it had to have Sangiovese in it to be a Super Tuscan, but so okay. So to be clear, to be a Super Tuscan, it can be Bordeaux varietals with or without Sangiovese.
Yeah, generally, I mean, like when I started in the industry back in the 90s, generally it was a preference that Sangiovese was included in that.
Okay.
But now, 20 years later, that's not necessarily the connotation of what Super Tuscan means.
There's really not a law, there's no percentage. And also there's, if I can say, a little misinterpretation because Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Syrah, we know they've been growing around Florence in the Carmignano area since the 1700s.
Oh.
So if we could call those Super Tuscan, those are made with Cabernet and Merlot also. So it's a little confusing, a little strange, but
yeah,
like
well,
it.
wine can be a rather Byzantine topic.
Right.